Peace and blessings, and thanks for stopping by Stindy Farms. Today I'm going to be talking about my favorite herbs. I am not a doctor. If you have any medical conditions, I suggest that you speak to your doctor. And I'm also not an herbalist. I'm just a person that loves plants, that has a profound respect for nature, and I'm going to be showing you some of the herbs that I use in my garden and how I use them.
Standy Farms.
Stinging nettle is my favorite wild edible. This herb likes to grow in open fields, around fences, and on the edge of woodlands. All parts of this plant are edible and can be used as medicine. It's fall now and it's dying back, drawing all of its energy into the earth, which makes this the best time to harvest the roots. The roots of plants are always the strongest medicine. You can identify stinging nettle by the pointy serrated leaves as well as the stem of this plant, which contains hair-like stingers. Now, these stingers carry a powerful punch and they hurt like hell. So generally when I'm harvesting stinging nettle, I will wear gloves. However, indigenous people will tell you that the pain of those stingers will alleviate pain. And so if you have a back that's hurting or a knee or a shoulder, you can take stinging nettle and whack those areas and it will dissipate the pain. Stinging nettle is a very nutritious plant. The taproot goes deep into the earth and it pulls up a lot of the trace minerals. So it is high in magnesium, iron, potassium, phosphorus, manganese, iodine, silicon, as well as many other things. Traditionally, the plant is used to alleviate colds or as a general tonic. It is also used to treat wounds, cuts, insect bites, and burns. I generally take it, I'm harvesting the leaves here. I'll give it a good rinse a couple of times. You can cut this up and use it anywhere you would use cooked spinach. So if you have an omelet, you can throw it in there, or some scrambled tofu if you're a vegan like me. This is an excellent addition. I also like to use it in my juice. So I make a juice from celery, green onions. Not green onions, green apples. And I will throw in a couple of sprigs of the nettle and make what I call a green goddess. It is so delicious. You can also use this by drying it and taking the dried leaves and putting it in your apothecary. I use it for tea when I'm feeling like I'm getting a cold, or as a tonic. You can put this in a high-proof vodka and make a tonic out of it, or you can use it for topical, like wounds, insect bites, cuts. It's excellent for the skin. So stinging nettle is something that is a great addition to apothecary. This next plant is mullen, and I wanted to show it next to my Granny Smith apple tree because this plant in full maturity gets so tall. As you can see, the plant is dying back. And I'm filming from a distance because I don't know if you can see it, but there's a gigantic spider web with a spider over there. So I'm keeping my distance. But this plant grows everywhere. And you can identify it by the light green leaves. And typically, this plant is used for anything that deals with the lungs. It is a antiseptic, it's antibiotic, it's anti-inflammatory, it's an astringent, it's a bitter, and it effectively can treat colds, coughs, congestion, asthmatic coughs, whooping cough, and even hoarseness. And it's funny how Mother Nature can really give you clues as to what the plant is good for. So if you look at this plant, it has very soft, velvety leaves, and there's little, looks like even capillaries that run through the plant. And if I take two leaves and put them together, what does that kind of look like? It looks like the lungs. So this plant is used for anything that pertains to lung health. And it also can be used topically. It's a wound healer as well, because it is an astringent. It will pull things out of a cut, and so forth. So typically what I do is I will take this plant and wash it well, because the fact that it grows very close to the earth, you can see that it collects a lot of dirt. So you want to wash it well. I like to work with dried herbs, so I will hang it to dry. But in this instance, I can cut it up too fresh and put it in a vodka, and that will keep it from really spoiling. And put that vodka away for about a month in a closed container. And this vodka here, I've had probably for a couple of weeks with some chopped up mullen in it. And you can see that the plant is beginning to extract into the vodka and turn the vodka a darker green. However, that is not quite ready, because in a month's time, that vodka will be a very dark green. And that's when I will strain out the mullen and just keep the liquid and use that anytime I feel like I'm getting a cold. And so that's what it would look like. I've had that probably for about a year. And every now and then I'll put some in some juice, or I'll even put it in my tea if I'm feeling congestion or I feel like I'm coming down with something. So next we have passion fruit. And again, this plant is dying back. You can see it's pulling back its energy into the roots. But people use the fruit, to make jams and jellies, but don't skip on these leaves, because the passion fruit leaves are really great for insomnia. So what I would do is I would harvest the leaves, probably more so in the summertime or late spring, and hang them to dry and put that in my apothecary and use as a tea whenever I felt, like I couldn't fall asleep. And so, again, this plant is good for insomnia. There's another plant that grows prolific in the South that looks a lot like sassafras. This is passion fruit. The plant that looks like it is this plant, which is sassafras. And sassafras is an actual tree. The passion fruit has the tendrils because it's a vine. But this plant is excellent. Sassafras is used, the leaves are used as filet powder. And that's what you use for gumbo to thicken the gumbo sauce. And the trunk of sassafras was actually used, I'm sorry, not the trunk, the root, which is here, is used as root beer. But it's excellent as a tea. So you would just pull off the outer root. You can see how it's separating there. and use that in a tea, and it's great for your circulation. So that's another plant that is excellent for your apothecary. You just need to let that dry out a little bit and use that as well. Next, we have King Comfrey. And comfrey is the plant that you would use for any wound health. This plant was known as knit bone back in the day, and it was used to literally knit bones together. Any fractures, any sprains, any wound health would be, you would go to this plant here. And unfortunately, there was a study done in 1978 where they fed rats 40% of their diet comfrey and found that this plant caused liver cancer. But think about it. Would you make 40% of your diet this plant? No. Would you use that potent of an extract for an extended period of time? No. So many herbalists feel that study was skewed, and they do take this plant internally. I've used it internally for inflammation, and I would never use it for any extended period of time. So I believe that it's okay, but you would use it with your discretion. A lot of people just stick to the external use. I'm going to be showing you how to do a salve today with comfrey as the main ingredient. And once again, it is all of the things like antibiotic, it's anti-inflammatory, antioxidant, antiseptic, it's an astringent, it's an expectorant, it's so many different things. It's a bone healer, it's a flesh builder. It has many different components. You can use it in a salve, and that's what we'll be doing. I'm also going to do a body butter, which won't be as strong. Obviously, I'm going to make the strong medicine, the salve, which I will keep in my apothecary. But the body butter, I'll put a little bit of the comfrey in that, because it is excellent for your skin. It hydrates your skin. It has so many different components. So we'll be doing that today as well. So here I am in the kitchen. I have the Instapot on a yogurt setting, and I'm going to be making my salve using beeswax and an oil infusion of the comfrey, as well as a body butter using cocoa butter and shea butter. Okay, so I have here all of my ingredients. The salve is obviously going to be medicinal, and it will be more concentrated. So 8 ounces of my infused comfrey oil plus 3 tablespoons of beeswax, and the cocoa butter, I guess you could call it, or body butter, is going to be the complete opposite. So 8 ounces of the shea and cocoa butter, and then 1 ounce of the infused comfrey. So that, I hope that's not too confusing. So I have my strainer. I have a double boiler on my cooktop with water in it, and I'm going to pull out my infused oil. So how I did it was I put my Instapot on a yogurt setting, and I let it go through the night, which is about 110 degrees, with the oil infusion inside. And then once that was done, I put it on again, and it went for another 4 hours and 14 minutes. So approximately 15 hours it's been sitting in there in 110 degrees to get all of the essence out of the herbs. I used in my infusion 2 parts of comfrey, but I also used some assisting herbs, which were rosemary, so 1 part of rosemary, 1 part of lavender, 1 part of bee balm, which is also known as wild bergamot, or even mountain oregano, because it has some of the same properties of oregano. And I also put in some nettle. So all of those herbs are excellent for wound health. Anything dealing with wounds, cuts, bites, like spider bites or mosquito bites. They have all the properties of cleaning a wound, dulling the pain. And one other thing I put in is plantain, which is an excellent wild herb for wound health. And then calendula, which I did not grow in my garden this year, but I did have some dried calendula, which is a flower. It's the marigold. And I used 1 part of that as well. And so that is an excellent plant. It's used in a lot of beauty products, and it cleanses and clears. So I'm going to take my oil and I'm going to strain it and get as much of it as I can get out with my strainer. So let's do that now. So I'm straining my oil, and I'm really comfortable with all of the herbs that I used. I have used these herbs before, and I would be comfortable with ingesting any of these herbs. So I would suggest, when you're making these types of salves and working with herbs, be very cautious at first, because you don't want to have any types of reactions. So you want to start off slow, just take a little bit of an herb, especially if it's a wild herb, and make sure that there's no reactions, and then build from there. But as I said, I've used all of these different plants, and I feel very comfortable. So I have about 1 cup of the infusion, and I'm going to start with my salve. I'm just taking out a little bit of that for the body butter. So now I'm using my beeswax. I'm taking 3 tablespoons and putting that into the double boiler to melt down so that I can use that with my herbs. I'm melting my beeswax down, and I will then put my oil infusion in. Everything has been combined, and I will be pouring it into jars to set. Now I'm working with my body butter, and I've melted the cocoa butter as well as the shea butter, and I'm going to pour it back into the glass jar, and I will be adding my 1 ounce of herbal infusion. So there we have it. That's the melted shea butter and cocoa butter with the now herbal infusion. And I'm stirring everything to mix it. And I will then put this in the refrigerator and let it set up. So I've taken it out of the refrigerator, and it is still liquid, but it is cloudy. So I know that now I can start mixing it. And I'm going to use my handheld mixer. And as you can see here, it is fully mixed. It has some nice soft peaks to it. And I really like this consistency. So I'm going to now put it in my glass jar that is airtight. Beautiful. It feels so silky and smooth. And I actually used this product that evening when I took a shower, and it was so hydrating. I used it on my skin as well as I used it on my twist. And it actually softened my twist. And the thing I like about it is it was very hydrating, but it wasn't greasy. So it absorbed well, and I was really, really pleased with this product. I actually filled this jar, and I had enough to make a little jar for my husband. So it was really nice to have that. And this will probably last me until the summer of next year. So there you have it, folks. I have my salve that has set up really nicely. I was really, really pleased with the consistency. It wasn't too hard and it wasn't too soft. I made 2 jars of that, and I'll set that in my apothecary. And then I have my wonderful body butter that I love so much. I'm going to be using that every day. And I actually made a little small jar for my husband. Thanks for stopping by and spending this time with me in the kitchen and in the garden. Please leave me a comment. Tell me how you use the herbs in your garden. And please like and subscribe. Thank you, and peace and blessings.